head on over there if you want to be a part of that. We also have tarot readings in a different tier and also just other exclusive content. So the link will be down below if you want to check that out. So let's get started. Now, the first book that I want to talk about is the one that I just read. So I featured this in, I believe, a book haul. This is The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. And this is from the series of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Okay, I've got to blow out this candle because it's like making me want to cough. Hold on. I just filmed. Sorry guys, I just filmed a reading for Patreon and I can't with that candle. I need to buy a new one. It was a gift and I'm just like not into it. Anyways, so The Girl Who Played with Fire is so amazing. I think I might do like a full review on my Patreon talking about like every single detail of like this book if you're interested in that sense, but I will just try to talk about it briefly for you guys. Okay. Sorry, the candle's distracting me. I'm like, oh, I just can't. So this book is from, I guess it's a publishing company, I'm not really sure, but Vintage Crime. So this book is very much, I wouldn't consider it like a thriller. Like it's not like taking you on like a crazy whirlwind journey that's just like absolutely nuts. Like it's not like that. But I will say the pace of the book and the way it's written really works for me. It really resonates with me. It starts off a little bit in like a beach type of town. Like it gives you very much like moody vibes in the beginning, and she's overseas. I forget what country, if it's like Switzerland or something, I really do forget. But she starts off there and it's like a little bit relationshipy, a little bit in the beginning, but then it shifts into like a whole different storyline of like hunting down different people. The main character, I really resonated with her though. Her name is, why am I forgetting? Lisbeth Salander. And she's a very like my way or the highway kind of gal, which I absolutely love that about her. And I really resonated with her because she's very much like an outcast kind of person. She doesn't mess with you. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't really have feelings. But she does deep down. She's just been through different trauma in her past and in her life that has kind of made her the way that she is. And she is like a cybersecurity girl. Like she can hack your computer. She's gonna read your emails. She's gonna leave a little folder on your computer giving you a little cryptic message for the other person to open up. Like she's very much that. And just like a couple details about her. She has like a crap ton of money. I think the currency that they call it is kroner, like Kroner, kroner. So she came into a bunch of money. So she's like, she doesn't have a job. She's not really doing anything. She just kind of like flows with the wind and does her thing. And she has all this money though. So she like bought an apartment, but she has no like decoration style at all. It's very like sterile. So you kind of like feel her energy of, she's kind of like a lost soul that like doesn't really give a fuck, but like at the same time she deep down does give a fuck, but she'll never let you know that she gives a fuck, you know what I'm saying? And there's different characters in here. There's like a storyline of a journalist and a journalism company called Millennium. It's like a journalism kind of situation. And there's that going on. Then there's Lisbeth and all of her shenanigans and adventures that she goes on. But I don't say adventures statements. She's threatening people. Like, she's all that. Getting into some trouble. She likes to deliver punishments, though, to people that have wronged her. But if you don't wrong her, you're fine, you know? And then there's like some murder allegations that she's got on her towards the end of the book. And like, it gets very, very good, very rampant. The pace of the book definitely picks up as you go. It kind of is a little bit like, feels like this in the beginning, but then it's like pow, 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 boom, boom. And the thing I like about this is that it starts off with Lisbeth's like point of view, like you're walking through her life and how she thinks, and the book is completely told from her point of view. But then it switches over to her like coworker, like Bloomkvist or something. I don't know how to say his name. Then it goes into his head and his life, and then it breaks off into a different storyline of this person and their stuff. And then whenever it gets towards like the middle end-ish about like this murder investigation and all this and that, Elizabeth, that is convicted or allegedly did these different murders, her point of view like goes away for a really big chunk of the book, and you feel that, like you feel that she's missing, you feel that she's not there, all that stuff. And then like she returns towards the end, like her point of view comes back, so like you learn to like miss her throughout the book, if that makes sense. So I super recommend this, although this is the second one and I read them out of order. I just went to the bookstore today to get the first, which is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and this one's gonna blind you guys. Look at that. Oh god, oh my god. This is The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. I literally hate that cover. Like, oh, why did they have to use that color? That's freaking ugly. This one is much more like peaceful, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can actually look at that and not feel like I'm going blind. But anyways, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and read the first one. Also, sorry, I'm kind of like like my whispers are not normal today because I'm trying to like not cough, so it's kind of like picking up my voice a little bit. Hope you don't mind. I'm gonna go back and read this because it focuses more on, I believe the guy's name is Blomkvist. It's Blomkvist. Can you see that? Can you see that right there? Blomkvist. So this is more like about him and his perspective, I believe. And then he starts working with Lisbeth in this book. And then in this book, it's like he's like rescuing her, and like she, you know, shit goes down. She's being convicted of crimes, etc. So part of me does just want to jump directly into this one because I literally just finished this, and like it would make sense to read them like that, right? But I didn't even read the first one because I got this one at Goodwill, and I didn't like realize that it was like a legit series of whatever. And a lot of people, I like tried to read online, a lot of people said the third book won't make sense if you don't read the first one or something. I'm like, okay, like tell me what to do, why don't you? But I think this one is a little bit slower paced and a little bit sleepier, and then the last two are definitely more like drama, high intensity and things like that. But I kind of do want to read like how he met her, because there's a key element in this book of them kind of like rekindling and like having some kind of appreciation towards each other, in a very subtle way. And because she's so like rigid and harsh edged and things like that, it's kind of like shocking, right, that they're able to reconnect. So I think I will read this. I started it like a little bit since I got it today. It's not like really grabbing me and like super interesting yet, but I like the way this author writes and the pace is good, so I think I'm going to be patient with it and suck it up, you know, because I'm obsessed with this character Lisbeth. Like, I feel so connected to her, and I can't just read two of the books and not read the first one, you know what I'm saying? So that is the tea with that little collection. I'm such a book girl all of a sudden, you guys. Like, I'm really truly obsessed. looks very intimidating, folks. I know. I don't want to be on a leash. No offense if you do want to be on a leash. Have a collar. Have all that, leather. All that fun, kinky shit. You do you, boo. But for me, the reason why I got this book, I got this on Amazon. So this book is about the psychology of dominance, like sub and dom relationships, like in the sexual sense, I guess you could say, or not sexual, just like a connection with a person. But the reason why I got this is because I know that I grew up with a father who was very weak-minded, very much not a dominant person at all, and I feel like that's really affected me in my interpersonal relationships in general, whether it's authority issues, with people at work, you know what I mean? I don't like jobs, I don't like that kind of stuff, I don't want someone to tell me what to do, etc. I don't like friendships, I don't really get along with friends very well. It's just never really been something that's stuck with me and that I felt safe or comfortable in. And then in romantic relationships, I feel like I need to be very controlling and obsessive and you can't do anything because you're gonna leave me and cheat on me and I hate you. There's been a lot of layers of trauma and toxicity in my life surrounding all of this stuff that I feel stems from being raised by a weaker father. And this book, it is so good. It's honestly more textbooky. It's not a story that's really interesting and really gonna reel you in, but it just talks about power dynamics in general and creating a safe space for someone to feel like they can truly express themselves and be themselves and everything like that. And it's just very interesting to learn why people are the way they are and why they desire sub-dom relationships in life, why they're interested in that. And there was one part, let me just read you guys one section. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. So this is about submissives and that there's different kinds of submissives. So this one is control freaks, which is what I am, okay? You ready? Control freaks need the world around them to be tightly under control. They have a tendency to see their tastes and preferences as being objectively correct. They take it personally when other people make different choices than they would. They try to control everyone and everything around them, not because they necessarily want to, but because they think they have to. The world is full of things that are wrong and broken, and if they personally don't hold it together, aka the person with control issues, it's all going to hell in a handbag. Game over, done. If, things don't go the control freak's way. And then it says, I've seen two common patterns with people who have control freak tendencies yet wish to submit. The first is a perverse desire to have their rigid control torn away from them and be plunged into the out-of-control state that they fear so terribly. So that wasn't about sex at all, right, guys? But that's a very good description of what's in this book, kind of helping you understand why the brain is the way it is. And I feel like I'm desiring a partner in my life now who is very they let me be completely myself and they let me give my love in its fullness. They let me be everything that I want to be and everything that I am. And I feel like I've been very independent in a way, controlling my time, controlling every single aspect of my life. So to introduce another person into that is against my values in a weird way. So I feel like I'm needing to submit a little bit and let myself be that more feminine presence instead of being the masculine in my own life and feeling like I need to hold it together all the time. And I actually just talked about this in my reading that I am posting on Patreon for January. There's 3 readings a month that I'm doing on this one tier. It's 3 is the reading that I talk about this in. But I feel like I've had to be the masculine in my own life for a long time and kind of hold that, like, don't fuck with me kind of energy. So now that I'm like wanting a partner, I can't have that aspect and it work well, you know, because the man wants to be the man wants to court, and the man wants to you know, cat and mouse a little bit with you. And if you are the one that's like the cat as well, it's not gonna work well, you know. So I'm learning to submit. I'm learning to be more okay with letting someone, you know, enter and, you know, call the shots a little bit, but not in a toxic way. But I do want someone to like show me the reins and like all these different things. So that's kind of a little sneak peek. I might, like I said, do a more in-depth video on Patreon talking about this and like everything I learned about it. If you guys are interested, if you're one of my Patreons, let me know. So that is the Heart of Dominance. There's also a TV show that I just watched recently on Netflix. I'm forgetting what it is, but if I remember it, I'll let you guys know down below what the show is. But it's like this teacher who is a dominatrix in her free time, and she has like a little room in her house, like the playroom or whatever, and she ends up getting killed because it's like the online internet thing, and they were able to track her and kill her, and then they're killing all these other women that are dominatrix women. And that was like the first kind of awakening moment that I had about this kind of thing in my life. And it just really made me interested in like wanting to know more about like that side of sexuality and why people do what they do and why they want what they want. Yeah, so tea. Okay, so I read that in January. My stack. Alright, the next book I read in January is this. This is House Fires by Conna Franta. I showed this in a haul as well. And I just got around to reading it in the beginning of this month. So, if you don't know who Conna Franta is, he's a YouTuber. I'd say one of the more like OG ones. So, this book is absolutely incredible. If you guys want, again, a more in-depth, like, kind of everything about it kind of thing, I can do that on Patreon. But it really just took you on an emotional roller coaster of just like, not even a roller coaster, but just like deep diving into his feelings. And there's lots of poems that have to do with the feelings that he's experiencing in each chapter. So each chapter has like a little section of words, some pictures, and then in between there are like poems and stuff. And it's just like such a really good, I don't know if the word is like visceral response, like it just really takes you on this emotional journey with him about how he's feeling, his insecurities, overcoming different things. I just like really felt like this sense of like nostalgia, but not even like a particular nostalgia in my own life. It just, I'm an empath, so if you're an empath, you would really enjoy this book. I think in the beginning I didn't really know how I felt about it. I wasn't like super obsessed. I'm like, okay, another one of these. Like, it's very like, he's not trying to sound like, well, I thought he was trying to sound like a really cool, like poetic writer, and like he's really trying to like take us there, and it was almost like cringy a little bit in the beginning, but then I was like, wait, no, like he's just being his authentic, genuine self and like expressing himself however that's coming across through words. And then like as we started to get into the deeper topics and the more like corners of his brain and his life and the mix of poetry and photos, it really just made me feel like I was like very at home and very comfortable with what he was like presenting me with. And I finished this book in a night. I just like had to keep reading and just like, oh, I loved it. So if you want like a quicker read, this is amazing for sure. And after I finished it, I really almost felt like a piece of my heart was like gone, or like I had to like take a moment to like just, because it really took me there, you know what I mean? So if you're into those kinds of books, this might do it for you. On the back it says, I'm thankful for it all, really. The pain and the pleasure, all the quiet joys and the loud despairs, the rosy peaks and the indigo valleys. I've been shaped by every second of every minute, constructed into a chronicle, refined by my own autonomy, born to never occur again. But watch me bleed until the sun sets. So if you like that poetic type of language and something that doesn't always like make sense from the surface, but you have to really like sit with the words, digest the words, and like just taste the words, this is going to be great for you. It's very deep. I liked it a lot. It really like put things into perspective too about life and stuff. Like he even talked about like the mundane, like going on a walk but then seeing the same guy in the same chair every single day for like a year, and then one day he wasn't sitting in the chair anymore, and like that made him feel some type of way, and that made him feel like he was like playing storylines in his head of like, who is this guy? But like they both had this like kind of chemistry of like just life. Like every day he walked by, every day the guy was there, there's like a flow of people, you know what I mean? And once that person was gone, then it made him wonder, and it made him feel a sense of like emptiness. So he's definitely like a perceiving, feeling person as well. So if you're like that and you just like to romanticize and like really think and feel and connect yourself with every little aspect of life, definitely read that. So that is House Fires. I think this video might be like extra long because I haven't uploaded in a long time and I feel bad, so there you go. Also, just like, I'm so freaking satisfied with myself for like saying, oh yeah, I read these this month, like here's a stack, I did that, y'all. The next one I read was, I started this in December and finished it in January, so I'm still gonna include it. This is The Way of the Rose, and this is the radical path of the divine feminine hidden in the rosary. And I also hauled this a while ago. Maybe I'll put the book haul down below if you guys want. But this one will definitely have to be a Patreon book because look at, I took a shit ton of notes. Tons and tons of notes. This, I will say, it kind of like dragged on a little bit more than I was expecting. But at the same time, I'm really glad that I read this, and I'm really thankful that I read this because it helped me like slow down for the first time in a long time. I feel I was just very much in my own head and go and like whatever, and like a stress case for a long time. But after reading this book, this was the first book that got me into like wanting to keep reading and like continue that path in my life, so I'm very grateful. But this book, it was very like spiritual in nature, but not like the tarot card kind of realm. Very much like old classical, like dawn of time, like kind of feel. So if you are into like Mother Mary, Virgin Mary, that whole archetype of the divine feminine and the mother, like Guadalupe and like all this stuff, if you're into that kind of stuff, you might like this book. I believe the author, one is like an ex-Catholic, and then the other one is a Buddhist monk, and they both talk about like how the rosary isn't necessarily like, okay, go to church, XYZ, blah blah blah. It's more like the sentiment of like having that time of stillness and like trusting this energy and like connecting with the world outside of you really knew how to live, you know, because they were doing what they loved. They were getting by to survive. They were doing what was necessary. They weren't really getting hung up on structures and comparison and like all these different like petty things that we do now in society. So they were just observers of the world, noticing the seasons. When can we plant this plant? When can we fish? What time of day does the fish, you know, come out? Blah blah blah. So it kind of like gives you that perspective of like, oh, okay, like we don't really have to like worry and freak out and be crazy humans, because the people that came before us, like they figured something out and they were okay, and they seem to have good culture going for them, you know. And this one just says, letting go / giving up control is only desirable when there is something else to hold on to or take its place. Nobody would want to choose certain heartbreak, pain, loss, and grief. So that was just like a note that I took on that little piece. And then this part was on like recovery and like alcoholics and things like that, like how going to like an AA meeting in a basement of a church and like the rosary and how it like connects everybody and all this different stuff. So I really did like this book a lot. Then I do little drawings like portal to another realm, enter, just like little stuff. The earth bears life, and that life never leaves the planet. A place of return, deep peace, visiting the place where we belong, home. So what earth gives us, Mother Earth, the archetype of the earth, things like that. So that is it, you guys, for everything I read in the month of January. I am so proud of myself. If you have not read books in a long time, or if you like don't like reading or whatever, I ain't trying to convince you to read or anything, but it's been really beneficial to me and really helpful for me, and I'm so glad that I've been doing it. So, do y'all hear my stomach? Oh my god, I need to literally go make food immediately. So that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about books and what's been going on in my